Did you have any issue with the way things went down? Like, I know you ended up getting fired in Cleveland halfway through your third year there. There was the moment with Baker on the sidelines, and a few Cleveland Browns have said they kind of took you going to Cincinnati personal. Did you have any issue with the way that happened and maybe the way you were treated by your old team?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, again, those guys were trying to do whatever they needed to do to rally their team to be the best they could be. I wasn't there anymore. Do I wish some things didn't happen that way? Yeah, we all do. But at the same time, I understood where they were coming from and the point they were trying to make. And, hey, if I was on another team and leading another team at that time, I would have been trying to kill them too. So that's just part of it.
I've heard this from a handful of coaches, not just in the NFL, but just coaches in general, and I'm a big believer in it, that you learn more from your failures than you learn from your success. Obviously, it didn't end the way you would have liked for it to end in Cleveland. What did you learn from your time there that maybe can help you as a coach and as a person?
Well, I learned a lot. I think the 2 years of the constant losing, I learned how to overcome that and still get guys to follow me and trust and believe in what I was trying to accomplish. You learn a lot about yourself, because you got to be able to stand in front of a group and keep them really going. And I've said this before. I think during those times, probably some of the best coaching I did, contrary to what people think, because you're always doing anything and everything you can to find a way to win. Now whether it happens or not, that's not up to me sometimes. But again, I think I learned a lot being in that situation. There'll be some great things that I'll be able to pull from as I start to move forward.
Hugh, obviously, as you go to coming off the Cincinnati stuff, should you get a third chance as a head coach? Is there something different you would do? Would Hue Jackson evolve? Like, how do you see any opportunities that can come your way going forward?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I can. I mean, just because of the situation in Cleveland doesn't mean that you can't coach. There's a lot of great coaches that have come before me that's coached there and went on and did great things, So sometimes the situation is different. I think if people dig in and really take the time to look at the overall situation there, maybe they would understand it more. But at the same time, I understand when narratives get put out there, that's what people know. So, hopefully people will think back to the times when to put myself in that position, I had to be doing something right. And to go back and be a coordinator again or be a head coach again, I do believe is in my future. So I just got to go work through the process and see where it goes. What would you like the narrative about you to be? Oh, there's just that here's a guy that knows how to overcome, because there's a lot of people that would run from it all. I'm not going to run from it. At the end of the day, that was me, our staff and the people who led Cleveland. But again, that doesn't mean that those coaches can't coach or they don't understand what they're doing. Maybe that just wasn't the right fit, the right situation for that group, and they just need to be in the right have the right opportunity to have success.
Well, that's Hue Jackson on WFNZ in Charlotte, Wilson and Parcell. That's Nick Wilson, who used to work here at 92.3 The Fan, and Josh Parcell with that. Does Hue forget that he was 1-15 and 0-16?
Yes.
He did forget that, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we could beat that to death, but there's something in there that really struck me. And that is, in his last two head coaching jobs, both times, remember the famed internal discord comment?
Right.
From Jimmy-Haslam? Well, this guy was fired after an 8-8 record in Oakland because of internal discord with the front office there.
Yeah, but Al Davis had just passed away, so
that's correct. But he got into it with others, and
yeah.
He was trying to make trades. In other words,
right. Overstepping his boundaries.
So then he comes here, and I know for a fact when I wrote my book, The Browns Blues, they explained to him, this is analytics, you're going to be terrible, this is how it's going to be. You're going to be young, in other words, he was not told one type of team was coming and another one showed up. And within a half year, he was basically going at the front office again. But, the best...
Well, you can do that if you're 10-1.
Right. But, it clearly was, well, these guys, they didn't give me any players and all these young guys, et cetera. But two things, Les. Two things always stood out to me about Hue that were really an indictment of him being a poor head coach. You mentioned the record. Then we go back to Chris Palmer. He won 5 games in the first 2 years as the head coach of the expansion Browns. Tell me that the expansion Browns are 4 times better than that team.
I think they were.
No. No, seriously. I mean,
No,
really?
they weren't better.
They weren't.
No.
I mean, it was thrown together where, I mean, you didn't have a Joe Thomas, for example. You didn't have.
Yeah, he found a way to win 5 games.
You
in 2
didn't have
years.
Alex Mack. Remember, he had
Right.
Alex Mack. You didn't have anybody. I mean, anybody. Poor Tim Couch is just taking a beating. They had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the running back, not the center.
The wrong guy.
The wrong Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. No, seriously, so they won 5 games. Then the other thing is, when he and Todd Haley are fired, under Gregg-Williams, who had, everybody said, oh, he's just okay. I mean, nobody jumped to interview him for a head coaching job. They got 5-3.
People forget that. I didn't want him as the head coach, but I forgot, or at one point had forgotten he was 5-3.
Yeah, and it's John Dorsey and I were talking, and he didn't mean anything negative. He goes, one thing Greg could do is he could come in and organize a practice, and he said the stuff we practiced I saw on the field. In other words, the game
Which he
plans.
didn't see before.
Right, he didn't want to finish the sentence.
Yeah.
Because it was bad enough as it is. And so, in other words, and you went from, where Kitchens comes in, simplifies the offense, they're running the ball more, where Baker was getting sacked 4 to 5 times a game.
He wasn't even getting hit.
And then he gets sacked 5 times over the last 8 games.
Right.
It's not like they brought in a whole new offensive line.
Same guys.
So to me, those 2 things, the expansion team is 5-27. Then they go 5-3 under Gregg-Williams, who nobody really thinks is head coaching material, but at least kind of had a. You know what he did? He calmed things down. How about that? Gregg-Williams has to come in and calm things down.
He's the known peacemaker.
He's the new peacemaker.
All right.